Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nicolas Cordero from the ASCENT Plus interface team. Welcome everybody to this webinar, our second one in the series, hopefully the second of many. Before we start, I think we'll give a minute or two for people to connect, just in case sometimes people are a minute or two late. I would like to ask you, please, could you turn off cameras and microphone if you don't mind, so that in case there's people having problems with Wi-Fi and so on. And as I mentioned on the confirmation email, please, if you have any questions at the end of the talk, we'll have 5 or 10 minutes for questions and answers. You can ask your questions, or in the meanwhile, if you want to submit them through the chat, that's fine as well. So we'll wait for a minute just to see if a few more people join us, and then we can start. So please, could you turn off cameras and microphones? Yeah, I think we'll start, I suppose. Oh, sorry, there's a thing here. Yeah. The idea of the talk today is, as you know, we had another webinar 3 weeks ago. I hope for ones of you that you attended, that you were able to learn out of it. For the ones of you that didn't, it was essentially an overview of what the ASCENT Plus program is about, and some links on how to contact the team and how to go about it. What we're hoping to do today is we'll do a very, very quick overview. So it's like a summary of what we did 3 weeks ago. And then what we want to show, one of the things that we think is a very interesting tools that we have introduced in ASCENT Plus is what we call the showroom, that essentially shows you what's available at the different facilities. Then we'll go very quickly show how you go once you have an idea or something that you think could be an ASCENT transactional access projects, how you go about dealing with it, how to select, how to submit proposal, and so on. And then, as I mentioned already, we'll have a Q&A things at the end. So we'll start. Sorry, I don't know if I. Yeah. So ASCENT Plus builds on, there was an original ASCENT program that ran between 2015 and 2019. And the original ASCENT dealt mostly in nanoelectronics, but low power, high performance. So things like FinFETs, nanowire transistors, things like that. It was a very successful program. We had, I think, over 100 people accessing the facilities and so on. So what ASCENT Plus does, it builds on that experience. But one thing that we do, we expand the objectives of the technologies that we're looking at. So we'll still be looking at the low power, high performance. So what we can call it the more Moore or the advanced logics and memories. But then we also move into 2 new areas that we weren't covered in the original ASCENT. So we'll be looking at technologies for nanotechnologies for quantum, and we're looking at advanced integration. So essentially in ASCENT Plus, we have 3 main platform technologies. So nano for quantum, disruptive devices that includes the low power, high performance from the original ASCENT, and advanced integration. So if you look at that, how we do target those technology platforms. So if you have if you imagine them as 3 pillars, so you build those 3 pillars by providing capabilities, and that's what the ASCENT Plus program is offering. So we offer capabilities for processing, we offer modeling and databases, we offer metrology and characterization, and we offer device and test structures. And essentially, each one of those 4 is the pillar that builds up the technology platform. So that is the way, when we look now in a minute at the showroom, if you go onto the website and you look at the showroom, essentially all the offerings are classified by technology platform and by enabling capability. So the showroom itself is part of the website, is integrated with the ASCENT website. So you go there, for example, to register for this webinar, you probably are familiar with it. You can also go there, find out news on updates and so on. So it's part of the website. It's essentially the first part of the URL, the same as the website, and then you have the access. It is based on where most of us now familiar, and kind of an online shopping experience. So essentially all the offerings are there. Each one has an individual entry, and then you can go around and you can filter, you can select, you can search, and so on. So if you look at it in more details, for each individual offerings in the showroom, you'll find there is just an entry point, as I was saying here in the main page. And then if you go into it, and we'll go that now in a second when we do the walkthrough, you'll have a description of what the offering is about, and thing is some technical specification of the offering, and then a bit of description of the facility and what capabilities and what technologies it includes. As I was saying, it's based on an online shop e-commerce kind of platform, because we think it makes it much easier to access and much easier to find what you're looking for. So essentially you can browse, you can filter, or you can search. So that's what we'll be going down. We'll go do a walk through the showroom, and I can show you those in more detail. So if I go stop there for a sec, and I'll go directly into the website to show you the. So if I go into here, so give me a second. So yeah, this is the website. As I was saying, you probably most of you are familiar because you've done it. So the first thing is once you go into the showroom, you essentially find all of them here. For example, there's 64 at the moment. The plan is we'll keep building up as the project progresses. We'll build up because there'll be new offerings coming online. As we hear from you, the users, what is needed, if we find something that is not there, but that can be offered, it can be added and so on. So the idea would be is to have, this is not going to be a static, this is not going to be the same for the next 4 years. So the idea is there'll be new offerings and coming along as the program progresses. So essentially you want to look for something, you can definitely go into the URL and you can start browsing, and works out around 25, I think, per page. So you have, at the moment, there's 3 pages. Hopefully there'll be more. You can go into any one of them and click and find whatever you want to know about that facility. Another thing is, obviously, you can use the search. So I don't know, to put an example here, we can look, say, for, you want to know, do we have Auger? So you can search for Auger, and then that will give you find the facility that offers the Auger nanoprobe in this case. You can search any term that you can think of. Is completely free text search. So I don't know, there's for example a Kelvin probe microscopy. So you can search for an acronym. See if I hope this works. Yeah, so here it is. So again, so I think that's a good way. If you already have something in mind that you want to know, is it on offer? Definitely go to the search part of the website and you'll find the facility there. Other option, as I mentioned earlier, because everything is done by, if I go to this one, as I was saying, in the ASCENT showroom, if you look here on the left-hand side, sorry, I'm still on the search, sorry about, bear with me for a second. So here you can see on the left-hand side, you have the key enabling capabilities that I mentioned in the earlier slide. So you can click here and find device and test structure, metrology and characterization, modeling and databases and processing. Most offerings will cover just one of those, but sometimes there could be a same piece of equipment could be used both for maybe for physical characterization and for processing. So you will find the same offering could be in one of those. You can also search for platform technology. So I don't know, here you can click on advanced integration. It shows you everything that has to do with advanced integration. That's a good way to find on the other side. For example, characterization equipment would most of the time appear to cover the 3 platform technologies. So in that case, probably it's not the best to narrow down what you're looking for. But yeah, it really helps you if you are trying to find for a specific technology or what's available for one of them. So if we go into the capabilities, for example, say you want to look about what are you offering in processing. So you go here, click on processing, and here what you will find is everything that has to do with nanoelectronics processing. So in this case, it gives us 24. So again, you can browse through them, or if you have something in mind, you can go directly in the one you want to look at. So as an example, we can go, say you want to do some lithography in the nanoscale. So you go to the electron beam lithography. And what you find in there, first is a short description of what is the electron beam lithography and what's about. For some of them, for some of you, maybe you already know that. For other ones, could be a way to know what's available. Normally, you include one or several images related with the equipment and with the facility. So if you go into here into the magnifying glass, you have a gallery for that particular offering. So in this case, it's the equipment itself. An example of some structures fabricated pattern using the E-beam lithography, or some structures, in this case is a cross section of seeing the type of features that you can achieve with that electron beam lithography. You can go then, if you want to know more about the facility, you have a longer description. So in this case, goes into more detail of what's involved, what technologies are allowed, what resists, and so on. We had normally keywords that helps for what I was mentioning earlier about the search facility. So by having the keywords there, you'll be able to find things in more detail. For all the offerings, there's some technical specifications. So in this case, for example, you can work with both wafers or with individual coupons. You can work with any substrates in this particular case. All we need is a GDS file and cover the design, and we process it from there. And then a bit of background information. ASCENT Plus is an offering. There are five facilities behind ASCENT Plus. So we are offering all of them together, but at the end of the day, they'll be accessible in one place or another. So this particular one is from Tyndall in Ireland. And then you have what platform technologies it covers. So in this case, yeah, it can be used both for nano, for quantum, and for disruptive, is processing. And then normally we have an example of an application of someone using a kind of an ASCENT Plus project, the type of usage you would do with the facility. So that's essentially the same structure for all of them. And so what I'll do, I'm going to show you a few examples of more processing. For example, in the case, sometimes could be a single piece of equipment with that E-beam lithography, or you could have here, for example, the clean room deposition, that you could have all the different deposition techniques for thin film dielectrics. So in this case, we have PVD and CVD techniques. And in this case, what you could find is a description of each one of the individual devices that make up that offering. So in some cases, it could be a whole lab. In other cases, it could be just individual equipment. So whatever makes more sense, we had put it in that way so that people can find what is available. In this case, when you go to the specifications, you can see for each piece of equipment what type of materials can be deposited and the type of technology. We can show another one, some of the other technologies, apart of the traditional things on silicon and 3.5. ASCENT Plus offers processing on advanced materials like silicon carbide or gallium nitride. So if we go here, for example, to the silicon carbide, there's a whole processing line. So again, that's a single offering, but in reality, it's a series of equipment. So we have all the processing to do a whole device stack in silicon carbide. And again, very much all with the same structures. You have the description of the equipment in general, the offering, the technical specification with more technical details, size of samples, temperatures, voltages, so on. And then a bit of a link with the facility that actually is carrying out the work and case studies. In some cases, for example, in here, obviously, we're trying to keep this short, that it gives enough information so you know what the offering is about, but obviously we don't want to make it too long that is actually hard to follow. So for example, in this case, you could have then a link to the facility itself where you could find more details. So that could be on the processing side. So just as I was saying, there's a huge range of things in there, most range of materials, range of the deposition techniques, etching, lithography, and so on. So I'll go now, for example, to show you a few of them. If you go to metrology and characterization, again, going back here to the key enabling capability. So if I go in there, obviously metrology and characterization covers a wide range of equipment and offerings. So in this case, what we done, they are subdivided into different areas. So we have offerings for physical characterization, for optical characterization, for mechanical characterization, magnetic and electrical. So just to, again, you can always keep going by using these filters on the left-hand side. You just can click. If I click here on physical, it will show you, at the moment, we have 19 offerings on physical characterization. So again, you can see a whole range of things. You can browse, go through each one of them, or if you want to look at one in particular, I don't know, we can look at the, I don't know, say the TEM. That is one of, so the transmission electron microscope. So in this case, again, this particular offering refers to 3 separate pieces of equipment. So depending on the type of material you want to characterize, depending what you want to look at, you can choose between the three different pieces of equipment. You have the GOL, a Titan, and a Titan Themis. Again, a link in this case to more detailed information where you can find more about the facility, the actual technical specs of the 3 pieces of equipment. So that will kind of give you an idea what is the most suitable for whatever you are doing. In all cases, what we recommend, this is just a showroom, just to show you what's available and so on. We recommend you the same if you think about the physical shop. The window is, this is like the window view, so you can have a look what's available, what can I look at and so on. But we definitely recommend you go inside the shop and talk to us. And then once you have an idea of what's available, and once we talk to us, we'll find out, once we know your needs, your requirements, we can find out what is the most suitable of those facilities, and then get you involved so that we can offer that access to that facility through ASCENT Plus. So again, to show you another example of physical characterization, that we have another one that's been very popular is the atom probe tomography. So again, you will have the description of the equipment, the type of thing. This is it's a technology that allows you to look at the concentration of material at an atom level. So you're able, you have especially you have some kind of contamination, or if you have a device that is doing, for instance, you are able to actually create a tip shape sample, and then you're able to analyze what are the actual atoms inside there. So you're able, it's very good, fantastic piece of equipment to find out if that is a contamination, if it's during processing something doesn't happen the way it's supposed to happen, and so on. So again, this is a case, is the capabilities metrology and characterization, physical characterization, but in this case, it could be used for any of the technologies. So you have a device for nano, for quantum technologies. If you have a disruptive device, or even if you have an integrated device, we can do open it up and do the testing. It could be, in this case, could be a bit extreme, but it's also possible. Just to show other things, so most of the offerings, if you look at that, could be on the processing and on the metrology and characterization, but we also offer things in modeling and databases. So again, in this case, it could be atomistic modeling, material process modeling, looking at metal and molybdenum sulfide interfaces and so on. And then we have also models developed for RAMs or for silicon nanowires. So I'll go into the silicon nanowires just to give you a show. So again, it's just analytical model that has been developed by one of the partners, and we're able to analyze silicon nanowires and try to predict their behavior. In this case, for example, a part of the actual description, we have links to papers where the models are describing more details. So again, you can follow the link and find out more about what the models are about and what's involved. Some specification on what the model offers. In this case, the facility is CEA-Leti in France. But again, as I was saying, ASCENT Plus is an offering as a whole, so the facility is good for some things, and I'll go into that in a second. But think about it more as an overall offering. All those things are offered in a single, as a single entity. And then I think I'm going to show you one more, and I think probably that on. If you look at the test devices, so ASCENT offers access to test samples or test devices that you can actually use. We can provide them to you if you're interested, and then you can do characterization on them, or we can do the characterization for you, and then you can use your results if you are maybe developing models or trying to find out more about these technologies. So here we have from FinFETs, photon emitters, for cryogenic photon emitters, gallium nitride devices, graphene FETs, and so on. So one of the, I don't know, you want to look, for example, at this one, we offer a gallium nitride multi-project wafer. So this is not Euro practice. That's not what ASCENT Plus is about. So we are not offering that type of, if you want to go through that type of process, you have to go through Euro practice. But then we allow to do some levels of, and include some devices in a multi-project wafer on gallium nitride on SOI. So again, that's one of the offerings within ASCENT Plus. Okay, so I think that's more or less, I don't want to, essentially, I could go through each one of the 63 or 64 offerings, but essentially the structure is always saying you have the offering, you have the description of the offerings, some images that as a backup information, technical specifications, and then a few more details, sometimes papers, sometimes links to the websites of the facilities where I think is explaining more detail and so on. So what I'm going to do, I'll go back into my presentation there for a sec. Sorry. So if sorry, I think I stopped the sharing and I had to share. So if I go back into, so one thing, yeah, as I was saying, the showroom, think about it as that, the way you can go there and find out what's on offer, what the different things that are available. But at the end of the day, I think what we recommend is once you have looked at that and find something that is of interest or something that could have helped you, get in touch with the access team, and then we'll try to find what's the best match between what you need and what you want. So what we call the ASCENT Plus Transnational Access projects, just to give you an idea, they're normally very short focused projects. So essentially we're talking about 15, 20 days work, something like that at the facility. So we're not talking about here 2 or 3 years accessing the facility. Is very focused. You need to do something with some samples, or you want to fabricate some proof of concept device or so on. One thing, these projects are they had to be sent for evaluation to an external panel because they are EU funded at the end of the day. But if the project is approved, essentially what you get is a free of charge. The access to the facility is free of charge for you. One thing about, again, thinking about the showroom at the offerings, in some cases it could be just a single piece of equipment, a single offering will do everything you want. In most cases, that won't be the case. In most cases, you'll need a combination of 2 or 3 or 4 of them. Maybe you need to do some processing and a bit of characterization afterwards, or maybe you need 2 or 3 steps on processing and you need pieces of equipment. So don't see the offerings as the single thing. Most transactional access projects will involve several of those offerings. In principle, it could be done at a single facility. That could be, in some cases, could be simpler from a logistical point of view, but it could also be done at multiple facilities. So again, don't put off because 2 pieces of equipment that you require at different places. So we can do maybe the processing in Portugal and then do the characterization in Ireland or so on. So there is the option of going to multiple facilities. Finally, we generally recommend visits. I think you learn much more if, apart of doing the processing or the characterization, that if you are present at the facility, I think you learn more, plus the work itself is done better because there's feedback and things like that. As we all know now at the moment, that's not possible because I think the 5 facilities are closed even for staff, so even more to external visitors. So for the time being, I'm afraid all the projects will have to be remote. So essentially we get your subsets or your samples, we do the work, and when this finished, we send the samples back or we send the characterization results back. But we hope as things improve, when we start going back to normality, we'll hope to allow visits again. And again, we would encourage, I think, is whatever suits you. There's no, you can go for visit or remote, whatever suits you best, but we definitely recommend visit because I think you learn more out of it and you get more out of the project if there's a visit to the facility. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pass to my colleague Paul, who will talk to you a little bit more about how you actually access these things, what is the procedure. So could you take over, Paul?
Sure, thanks, Nicolas. Good afternoon to everybody joining us. I just want to walk you through a number of slides that give a very good impression as to how the whole Access program is managed for you as a user coming in. So I'll just check with you, first of all, that this is transferring. It seems a bit slow today. Okay, so you should be able to see the slide and see that there are a number of steps involved in accessing the program, from sign up across to accessing the actual partner site. So initially there are certain rules, and I know this is a very text-heavy slide, but it's got to be stated up front that each of the projects that would be approved would have to be transnational. So if on the website you see that only maybe one of the partners in your own country has facilities that you would like, unfortunately, the facilities have to be overseas or out of your own country. So that's the transnational side of it. Now, some of the different partners will have similar pieces of equipment, so we can facilitate that if it happens. The other areas then that you must kind of adhere to are that you mustn't already have this facility in-house. In other words, it's something that you haven't been able to get to because of, you know, management of time and that within your own facility. So if you have it in-house, officially ASCENT Plus is not for you to come through. You should use it in-house. The type of user, it's very wide. It's from academic right through to industry. So right across, don't think that because you're in an SME that you don't have access. You do. Everybody has equal access. And from where? Across Europe primarily, but there's a certain part of the budget that's allocated to countries and researchers outside the EU. So it's effectively a worldwide program. There are certain things we ask you to do that when you're putting a proposal together, you think about expected outcomes. And if you're a researcher in academia, then we expect you to want to publish and that you would publish the results of your project, acknowledging ASCENT Plus. This is not something, that's what's in brackets about SMEs or industry. Sometimes there are commercial issues that people don't want to divulge IP or other ideas to the open market. So it's understandable that as an SME or in industry in general, you may not want to publish and therefore you don't have to. Nicolas mentioned the kind of idea of what the projects might cover. So typically 3 to 4, 5 weeks of access time at one of the facilities or at multiple of the facilities. From short projects to do with maybe proof of concept or feasibility or looking at test chips. So again, not your 6-month, 2-year project. These are short focused projects. And also then there's virtual access. And again, you have access to those online. So when we used the initial ASCENT program, we came up with 2 words that summed up what we were offering. And particularly for the process of accessing it, we wanted it to be easy and fast, because researchers out there do not want to be waiting in a pipeline of 6 months to gain access, because things move on and you need it now when you need it. So looking at these 2 words and referencing the Oxford Dictionary, we felt they fitted well because they presented few difficulties. Now, not difficulties in the way of technical, I'm talking about the process, the management of it. And as far as fast, yes, we can turn around an access application in possibly 4 to 5 weeks. Now, that is reasonably fast, and sometimes it's faster. The initial way to engage with us, if you haven't done so already, is perhaps to sign up to receiving information about the program. So the program will run for a total of 4 years. It's kicked off this month, so we have, you know, over between 3 and 4 years left in it. And if you fill in this form with basic information, your email, we will get back to you every quarter with a newsletter. We'll inform you maybe about these webinars that come up.
Senta, Poppy, senta. Podes pôr.
Excuse me? And it's a great way of just getting an overview of what's happening in the project. If you see something on Nicolas's website that rings a bell and says, God, I could expand my research areas, or I could use with that particular technology in my area, then we'd encourage you to fill in a very basic inquiry form. It's just the first one-on-one discussion. It doesn't commit you to anything. You send it in. Nicolas and myself are based here in Cork in Ireland, and we're the kind of front-line initial engagement team that you'll meet. Nicolas is on the technical side, and I'm more on the administration side. So between us, we will sort it out and get follow-up very, very quickly on it. So that form is online. You can fill it in a very short time. And even if you don't know exactly what you want, put down the areas of interest, and Nicolas will engage with you and, you know, discuss it further and whittle it down to exactly what you need. If after sending the inquiry in, you've had your discussions with Nicolas and you say, yeah, you have facilities I'd like to access, there's quite a straightforward application form. It's only 5 pages long approximately. There are sections you must fill in. It's on an online system, and it covers 3 areas that you must address. One is the innovation of the idea for the project you wish to run. One is the outcomes of that project, what it might be in publications or follow-on applications or commercial engagement. And the third one would be when you discuss with us the planning involved, so that we're very aware of what you actually need. And just, you know, a project can be 4 to 5 weeks access, but we can, from time of final receiving your proposal draft, we can have it out for review and back in a matter of weeks, which is quite quick. The review process is very straightforward. We have assembled a number of experts across Europe who can review your area of technology and your application. The review outcome, these are an independent selection panel, so they are external to ASCENT. We don't decide who gets access, this team does, and that keeps it independent, and that's the way it should be. They will look at the 3 particular areas that we've mentioned there: the innovation, the expected outcomes, and the planning involved. And they will score it then out of a total figure. Based on that, once it's above a threshold, it will be approved. And we do ask typically for a very fast turnaround. All our reviewers are not paid. They do it of their own time and interest. So within reason, we would expect most proposals to come back within a week or 2 of being sent to them. If it is approved, if it is above the threshold, then the next steps involved are a simple memorandum of agreement gets signed. This is a standard template. It's in a lot of projects. You can review it, send it back. We both sign, and then the project can start. Then you will have a project manager assigned to your project at that particular site. So whether it's at imec or whether it's in Tyndall, it doesn't matter. You will have a dedicated manager who will liaise directly with you and help and manage to run the project for you. So the Access program, in summary, is well managed. It's very easy, and it's a fast process. And you have Nicolas and myself based here in Cork who will respond extremely fast to any incoming inquiries, sign-ups, or any questions you may have. Just to let you know, we're just in the process of finalizing our next webinar, which will be in March next month. at a date towards the end of the month. We should have that finalized in the next 2 to 3 days, and we'll send out information to you about that. This will probably be around the area of diamond technology. So if you're interested in that, it may be something you'd like to sign up to. Again, to keep up with what's happening on the program, you can sign up through the website. You can review the showroom that Nicolas has shown you, and you can follow us on either ResearchGate, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And these slides and this video of the webinar will be online shortly, should you need to go back and review it again. So that brings me just to the final part. Nicolas, will we take some questions and answers from the audience?
Yeah, please, if you have any questions, please turn on your microphone and your camera and go for it.
Yeah, Vincent here from Sweden. I had a question regarding the fact that to be able to access your network, you said the technology shouldn't be available in-house, and in-house meaning at local academic place or local SME place, or generally in the country?
No, your own institute, like in your own institute or your own company. Yeah, the rule is essentially the idea of ASCENT Plus, because it's EU funded, it shouldn't be a shortcut that it just because it takes 3 months to do it in-house, I go for ASCENT. So that's what they're trying to avoid it. It's an EU rule, you don't put that rule, but yeah, is that it's only the idea of the ASCENT Plus is to help if you have a good idea, but you cannot do it because you don't have the equipment in your company or in your university. That shouldn't stop you to developing your good idea, and that's what ASCENT Plus is trying to help with. So yeah, it's in your own institute or in your own company, join a company.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, if someone wants to ask
yes,
a question,
I think
put the microphone on.
Nanotech Digital, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello. I'm YY Zhang from Nanotech Digital GmbH. Actually, we are representing some equipment company in Germany, and then we are co-working project with many R&D fabs too. So our equipment company manufacturer have some equipment demo machines in European area. Some machine is in France, and some machine in Germany, and some machine in Poland, like that. But in that cases, could we have to, each different location have to be separately registered, or we can register only one place with a...
No, whatever, yeah, a single place is fine. I normally in EU programs, we tend to tell people whatever is the legal entity, if the legal entity covers all the sites, that's fine. Okay. If each site is run independently, yeah, probably independently, but yeah, you can do all one as a single one, that's fine. Yeah. That's a single legal entity, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, and one more thing. Actually, well, one of our key equipment is still located in the Korea. It is planned to move to in German demo center, but not yet delivered. So in the cases, if we maybe we can make some cooperation project or collaboration project in ASCENT Plus. In the cases, could we have to send it to the Korea? Is possible for sample sending?
As we mentioned earlier, there is no. Although most of the budget will go to EU and associated states because it's an EU funded program. Yeah. There's nothing in ASCENT Plus exclude non-EU, so there's absolutely no problem. Yeah, there is. Okay. The samples or the devices or whatever is done at the 5 facilities that are all within the EU, and then once they are finalized, we send them back to you, and it's fine. If it's the Korean part, it's fine. If it's the German one, it's fine. There's no restriction on that. Yeah, there's a small restriction on the budget, but don't worry too much about that one.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other question? Oh, hi, Guy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, I would like to know about the time. What is the duration of the project that you have? Is it on several years?
Yeah, the program itself, ASCENT Plus, as Paul mentioned, it officially started in September, but it runs for 4 years. So we'll be running until 2024, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, if you have an idea now, whether you go for it now, on the other side, there's no problem. If you don't have something concrete at the moment and you want to wait for a few months, that's fine as well. The program will be going on. The actual projects, once approved, some cases, all the work will be done in one go, and that's fine. Other times, maybe there'll be a first phase that you want to do some test devices and then go back again and think about it. There's no restriction, as long as it's within the 4 years of the overall program. The project, whatever makes sense, if it makes sense to do it all with phases, with something done offline for a while, that's fine as well. So the timing, although we mentioned the thing of 3-4 weeks of work, doesn't have to be all in one block. It can be done whatever makes sense.
I see. Okay, thanks a lot. And just another comment. You know that we are developing some new devices, and sometimes we need to make some more experiments, some more knowledge about one step of the technological process.
Yeah.
And so it can be necessary to have access to this project in several steps, you see.
Yeah, no, that's
so
fine.
There is no problem on that.
Yeah, no, there should be no problem. As I mentioned as well, probably what we want to do is a whole stack of processing with 8 or 10 steps. But
I see.
What ASCENT Plus is very helpful is that maybe you have 3 or 4 steps that you do in-house, but then you have a step that you don't have the facility. So ASCENT Plus will do that step. We send them back to you, you do whatever you want with them, and then you can send them back again for another step that maybe is even in a different facility. No, that's exactly the type of projects we
Okay.
encourage.
Thanks a lot for the answers.
Thanks, Kate.
Actually, can I just add something in there? Because it made me think of something. Sometimes people who haven't engaged in the program want to come forward with ideas, but they can often come forward with a very small idea, and then there's nothing to stop them after that project is over to actually come back again in the future. So sometimes a small program initially engagement can lead on to other projects, and you're not restricted to only using us once over the next 4 years.
Yeah. That's one. Any other questions? Okay, what I will tell you is, listen, this webinar is being recorded and will be available online in a couple of days. And if you have any other questions, just email Paul or myself. I think you have the link through the website. And that's what we are here for, to try to help and to try to find out how we can help you with your nanotechnology. So I think, thanks again for attending the webinar. I hope you learned something out of it, and stay in touch, and hopefully we'll be able to help you. Okay. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.